All right, guys, welcome back to the Brutal American Podcast. My name is Tate Taylor. I'm here as always with Pastor Ethan Sin. We are a bit underdressed today, apparently. Our special guest, Mr. Joe Garrisi, is here and showing us up a little bit. But happy to have you.
Thank you. It's
if
good to
you
be here.
would just introduce yourself. If people listening to this show don't know who you are, I would be shocked. But we might have some new guys.
I think
that
at this
don't know.
point you've been running ads with Brutal American, and you've been on King's Hall and Brighthearth.
Yes.
Yeah, and so like I think people are familiar.
Probably.
I think
Yes.
needs no introduction. But
just the quick fly overview then.
Sure. Okay. So I live in Florida. I own a wealth management practice. Work with these guys very closely. A lot of people here. I've been married over 30 years. Grew up in San Diego, South San Diego. Like I could see Tijuana from my house. My dad was an OPC minister, grew up in the Reformed faith, grew up Reformed Presbyterian my entire life. Don't know a time when I wasn't a Christian. Been Presbyterian my whole life. Just what degrees. I was actually talking with Dan Berholder last night about changes. What books have I read that have been dynamically changing? I'm like, there haven't been a massive because I've been Reformed since I was a little tyke.
yeah,
Type
there's
thing.
only so much you can grow.
That's right.
From growing up in the OPC, right? Yeah.
Exactly. I'm partial preterist now, right? But I was not that when I was a young kid and even a young adult, right? So there's some slow progression of understanding of 80, 70 and et cetera of history. But so I was in the military right out of college, got married in college, went in the military, did all kinds of crazy, jumped out airplanes and fun stuff. And I was in charge of a bunch of tanks and
Cool guy
like,
stuff.
Yeah. Driving fun stuff, shooting big guns, machine guns. Favorite was the Madus. Okay. The 100-round canister of machine gun just with a butterfly trigger, just to hold that down. That was fun.
That's a John Browning gun, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you been to the Browning Museum here?
No, I
you
haven't
need to
yet.
check it out. He's got
It is
all of the
really
machine
cool.
guns and the the
Awesome.
M2 and,
Yes.
and all the different shotguns and
Yes.
stuff he designed. Anyway, not
Yes.
to derail you, but
No. One of the few people that have shot a cooler gun is this guy.
Flew in a giant plane that was really just a gun.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just a big machine gun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. I did have a question because I'm
Yes.
genuinely curious myself. How long have you known the guys here in Ogden? I know you've been supporting NCP since before I ever moved here, which is over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time. Like, when did
Yeah.
you get plugged in with the guys here?
Sure. I'm trying to remember the year, either beginning of 23, late 22. So we were in a PCA church in Florida, towards the Tampa area. During COVID came in. They had a whole panel of elders and medical professionals that said, hey, everyone should vax, everyone should mask, everyone should stay home. And my wife and I are like, no. So
Yeah.
you want to kill grandma?
right. I'm loving. Yeah. We just did our research, but that really started actually, if I go back to when we were in Texas, I was misdiagnosed with lymphoma by a doctor. He said, hey, you got a few years to live, get yourself in order, you're going to die. Okay. So then correctly diagnosed with Crohn's after I get a bunch of resurgeries done. And the doctor said, well, diet doesn't matter. And I'm like, for your gastrointestinal tract? Diet doesn't matter.
That doesn't make much sense.
So they put me on prednisone. I blew up like a fat potato. Hated it because I've been athletic my entire life. And then I had two mentors in that church there that were just like, hey, we'll teach you more if you want to. And I was willing to not know everything. And started teaching me about diet and exercise and gradually got off of all those medications, been off of medications for decades now because of diet.
That's
And
kind
it's
of
awesome.
that's kind of the John Moody story.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
similar. I don't know what he was diagnosed with, but it was a diet fixed
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Inputs equal outputs. And
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter how severe the issues are. Maybe you're just sluggish and you need to like correct some hormone stuff. But like most of the time, the basic fix tends to be food.
Yes.
And it's the same thing like in your spiritual life where like the inputs equal the outputs and whatever you're putting in is what you're going to get out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And who you surround yourself with.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Who are the other men? Who are the other women for your wife that you surround yourself with? Who are the kids for your kids? So important on that influence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool. So that's Joe. If you don't know Joe, I mean, you've been plugged in here longer than I have. So it's really cool to get to sit down and kind of pick your brain a little bit. I know that the main subject of today is some of the stuff that you've gone through recently, some changes and stuff with the business. And the main subject of that, which I think is really, really applicable to our entire audience of guys, is the subject of just courage and boldness. And so I know you had something that you wanted to read before we kind of dive into that and get into the details of it. So I was going to let you take off with that before we go too much further. But I know that's kind of the overall subject that we wanted to talk about today.
So this is a piece of a speech that has been really a driving force in my life. Reference it back on when I make decisions, how I make decisions. So this is something that I love. Hopefully you've heard it, but if you haven't it's always a great reminder. So it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out where the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred with dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause? Who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those who are cold and timid souls, who neither know victory nor defeat. That's by Teddy Roosevelt.
A brutal American.
That's right. We do a recitation night at the end of every trimester, and one of the times this past year, one of the boys memorized quite a bit of that speech. It's awesome. Pretty long.
It's long.
Pretty long, but they at least captured either side of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wonderful. Well, so yes, you want to talk about courage. Really, one of the phrases I want to go over is it's not being afraid.
Yeah.
It's what you do, what decisions you make. How do you deal with that fear? So, one of the things I wanted to talk about is teaching boys. I don't have boys. So you guys have boys. You have boys? Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So your boys are hilarious.
We've got a crew of pretty funny dudes.
They listen to this, so they'll be excited to know that you think they're funny.
Yes, they'll get that. Yes.
Or they'll be upset that you think they're funny. one of the two.
I'll find out tonight. Yes. So one of the things I want to talk about is rewarding excellence. Whether you're training young kids or you have employees, but what you reward, you get more of, and what you tax, you get less of. I mean, that is everywhere.
Yep.
Right? Not just in finance, not just in business, not just in how you run your money, not just how our government runs. Right? What you tax, you get less of.
Yeah. What you subsidize, you'll get more of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. So we reward excellence, subsidize excellence, tax what you don't want of it. And maybe we should stop taxing income so we can have more of that.
Hint, hint.
I wish. Or how about getting rid of property tax? Florida's trying to do that. My goodness, it's great because I live there. The people that are fighting against that. It's amazing how they are okay with more taxes. And they spin that. It's wild to
What's
me.
their argument? Is it tied to something like like roads? And they're like, well, I need the roads to get down to Panama City. Like what?
Yes. So there's two things that they're trying to. It's all emotional.
Yeah.
Because if you get into a logical conversation, they lose. Right. So it's stirring the emotions, and unfortunately, our society has taught people to think in sound bites, not in paragraphs and in books, and so it's easy to entice them.
Everything is very quick. Like short form content is everything now.
Yes.
It's like income tax or your whatever the tax is, you tie it to something like schools.
Yes.
Like, oh, you hate school?
Yeah.
You want kids to be dumb? You monster.
The teachers won't get paid.
Yeah.
And if you look at the amount of increased taxes that have come, we can more than afford that, like many times over. But people don't look into that detail.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, the teachers won't be paid. Well, how about the amount of administrative cost that has increased is redonkulous.
Yeah.
It's a waste of money. It's just a way to pay people extra. But also they're like, well, the renters will be hurt and the poor renters. And like, well, how about us that actually pay for things so we can, what they're really only doing is taking away, hopefully, the property tax for the residents that own a home there.
Okay.
So people that come and visit, they still got to pay.
Because they're not local.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They just
Only,
have this.
even if you own a home,
Yeah.
but that's not your resident.
Yeah.
Nope, that still pays. Right?
Yeah.
Only for locals.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you mean? Locals are important? What a concept.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, even the renter thing, I'm sure you're passing through, to the renter
Yes.
in rent. Like, this is a cost it cost me to buy this property and build the house and,
Yes.
keep it up and pay
Yes.
the taxes on it. Like, don't you
Correct.
think that's affecting the renter?
Absolutely. It
Don't you think
already
it
is.
Yeah. Don't you think that
it's
would
already
make rent
there.
cheaper? Yeah.
It's not going to add more.
No.
So it's already in existence.
Yeah.
They're just crying that, hey, I want more money for me. Their little pet projects
Mm-hmm.
is really the problem. Yeah. But one of the things I wanted to get into is a passage from James 4:7. It says, therefore to him who knows to do good and does not do it, to him it is sin. Yeah, I mean, we have a whole problem with multiple generations I wanted to get into. We have both younger folks really not listening to older folks and older folks not supporting the younger folks. It's both sides.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's not just one side that's dominant. Hey, we're going to give you the Heisman. Both sides are giving the Heisman to each other for different reasons. I try to help younger adults and I get told no. I'm like, I'm just trying to help you, not just in finance, in all kinds of things. Why? Because I've built a business, so let me help you.
Don't you think there's been so much, just the characteristic, whether it's like millennials or Zoomers, like so much trust has been lost that now it's almost like because I didn't have a good father or a good pastor or a good, boss that you cut, the generalization would just be like, I'm wiping it all out and I'm saying like, I'm not taking any advice and like, I'll figure this out.
See it.
Like, is that a common?
Absolutely. The scorched earth.
Generational
scorched
thing,
earth trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, who doesn't have church hurt as an example, right? I have some craziness we're not getting into in this podcast of elders who tried to cancel me in business and et cetera, because I knew things that they were doing that were against the law. Okay. Didn't spread it and et cetera. But does that mean that I transfer that to you?
Well, I'm an elder, so I must be guilty of the
saying,
same thing.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
If I transfer that to you, that's not you. That tells you about my character.
Yeah.
Right. And so just because someone burned another person, like I have close friends that recently have been financially burned investing in some small businesses. Okay. Not through me, but they were recently burned. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that they then stop investing.
Right.
Stop supporting small businesses, right? The tendency to black pill is all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's sad. But where I was going to with James is that the older generation, like I'm in my 50s, so I'm older. Okay. If we don't help the younger generation, that's sin to us. We know we should help. How do we help? Every way possible with wisdom and finances and our time and et cetera.
I think there are a lot of people that do know, but I don't know that everybody 50, 60, 70, 80 actually knows that.
Yeah.
Maybe they should, if they read their Bibles or like maybe they should know it, but I think in their heart of hearts, they think it's like, no, I'm gonna spend it all and I'll give you enough money.
Why would I spend my money on you? I worked all this time and all these hours to make this and I did all this. Why would I give it to you?
Isn't that just like we're generalizing? Isn't that a common idea that people have?
Yeah. I pulled myself up from my own bootstraps.
Right. Nobody helped me.
And nobody helped me. So therefore I'm not going to help you.
Yeah.
And it's good for me not to help you.
Yeah.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Like, no.
But it's also a fallacy. Nobody
Correct.
does it on their own.
Correct.
Nobody has actually, you're born in America. You're born into a nuclear family. You're born into middle class, born into the church, given all these, nobody did it by themselves.
Yes.
Everybody has all those things, right?
Yes.
And so it's just a fallacy.
Even if you were really isolated and you had a terrible father and your upbringing was awful and you came from no money and all of the circumstances, you still you're admitting the fact that you're jaded about all of that. And then you're going to turn around and do it to the next person, which doesn't make any sense. Right.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you change the trajectory?
Yeah. You saw the pain on you.
Right.
Right. Help the multiple generations.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Luke.
And this is Defiant Machine Works.
Here at Defiant, we specialize in precision firearm customizations that deliver performance and aesthetic. Hand stippling for superior grip and control in any condition, CNC slide milling and optic cuts, porting to reduce recoil, and flawless Cerakote finishes in any color or pattern you want. The best part? Industry-leading turnaround, your custom build finished in 2 weeks or less. No endless waits, just high-performance firearms that stand out. From Glock to SIG, Smith & Wesson to CZ, we handle it all with over 10 years of collective machining experience. So take your build to the next level, head over to DefiantMachineWorks.com and use code WARCHEST at checkout for 10% off. That's WARCHEST at checkout for 10% off.
One of the things that I've seen for successful families is they're actually pooling assets, they're pooling resources, they're pooling wisdom, they're living in close proximity to each other, they're supporting multiple the grandparents are helping, volunteering to, and helping with the grandkids. I mean, they're constantly thinking, we are a family. I mean, kind of what the Bible says to do. But they're living it. They're not just, hey, I'm going to razz on you a little bit. So they're not acting baptistically.
Yeah.
But I'm joking. No, but they're living independently. Like they get together on Sunday. I know Reformed Baptists next there. We can go into a theological conversation. But but the family unit doesn't act like a family, right? It's that we're all independent in the what is it? Nihilism, Nietzsche. That what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. No, that's not true. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, we can do better as a family. We can grow wealth better. Like as a side example, one of the things I do for families, like if a brother and a sister and a parent and a grandparent, they want to all use our team. We actually discount our costs based on volume and size.
Yep.
So everybody gets a discount, that type of thing. But it's that type of pooling resources that people can do be amazing.
And I'm sure you're thinking about, small businesses, and you're talking about living together and buying a piece of property and having multiple houses, and you've got built-in help with the family and the chores and like all those, and then the grandparents get old and they've got the built-in help there, with the kids and all that. I think one of the most common objections I hear to like any piece of that or all of it would be like, well, look, there's going to be conflict.
Yes.
We're humans, we're sinners. Yes. Even if you're all Christians, like we're going to have conflict over whatever, where to build the next barn, how many cows to get.
Right.
Where should we invest in this thing or that thing? Or, you pick your thing. Like you can find a way to fight about it.
Sure.
So like, I guess, what do you tell people who like, maybe that's the objection to that idea of more
this
communal,
multi-generational, productive household?
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to affect up, it's almost impossible to teach up. It's not impossible. It's much easier to teach down. Mm-hmm. So you can teach your kids, who do you have influence on? Right? You guys have immediate influence on your kids.
Right.
That's where you can start and teach them and the love and grow that. And then hopefully it's caught and seen the blessing.
Yeah.
But I mean, trying to go to my generation above us and teach them, they're like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I think even in this scenario, though, we don't often think of this as like a courageous decision, but this is another one of those spots where you have to kind of be pretty bold and take a leap of faith in some sense, because of course, like you and I are super close. We have other friends that we're really close with. If we all decided that we were going to buy property together, at some point there's going to be conflict. Like you're going to want to do something that I'm not a huge fan of or whatever. Like
you're going to want to take me on a run.
I'm going to be like, we should all go on a really long hike. And your wife's going to be like, absolutely not. And like, it's going to be whatever the thing is going to be, you're going to run into that. But if you take the principle and then scale it down, you wouldn't use this same excuse to not get married and start a family.
Right.
Because you're going to have conflict there too.
Yep.
And you're going to have to figure out and work your way through things. People are going to have to repent for stuff and apologize for things, and then seek some sort of union on the decision making. But you could use this for literally every excuse. I mean, in every single category, like this could be a reason you'd never join a church.
Yeah.
Because at some point there's going to be some sort of.
I think there's two main things. I think the rejection of hierarchy, for one, of understanding what is my role in this thing. And am I the patriarch or am I the sub patriarch or what is my role? Right. And the egalitarian flattening of everything, be like, no, we're all equals and we all get an equal vote. And there's that. But then more than that, just for Christians, it's conflict resolution. It's like we've been given this ministry of reconciliation in Matthew 18 and forgive as you've been forgiven, all that. And we are really bad at it. So anyway, that's just common objection. I hear, but
so here's something not in my notes. Lydia and I were talking about, so we've been here almost a month. Last year, we were here for almost 2.5 months. I get to wear a flag that I'm a plank owner. Y'all know what plank owners are? It's a Navy term.
Is it the plank in your eye and the
yes. You got a big one, right? No, so it's a Navy term that the very first crew on a ship, when that crew member leaves, they used to actually cut out a piece of the ship. Look, you were the original crew, that type of thing. So I've been to all the NCP conferences is where I'm going.
Okay.
That thing's kind of fun. Okay, so Lydia and I were talking recently about our trip here as it's closing to an end on this time. What we've seen this time has been reconciliation from ancillary family members. Not just the members here, but their family. We've seen so many stories of restitution with family members. How awesome that is. Where I'm going is that's the culture that you guys have here of teaching, not within each other, but then teaching it to do it with your other family members is beautiful.
And it's cool. I've seen it here, even not in the familial sense, like friends that you get estranged from for a time and then you come back together and it's like a joint venture to go, hey, we should mend this relationship and we should be friends again. And that's just something I haven't seen in other places.
Yes.
Genuinely.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's glorious. Okay, coming back to, I got a funny story about kids economy, teaching kids. I saw a video and I was trying to remember where I saw this, where a dad was teaching his little kids about the value of money, but trying to teach them also to work. I recently came across I think it's Mary Beakey wrote a book on teaching to work kids and stuff like that. It was a really interesting book. But this video I saw where the dad taught the kids, look, if you pick up poop, it's 25 cents a poop. Okay,
oh, I've seen this. Yeah. Yeah. And now his kids discuss money in
terms of
turd units. Dad, how many turds is that worth?
Right. It's hilarious.
It is a really funny video.
Yes.
He's like, I feel like I maybe have made a mistake.
One of the aunts goes, and just kids don't know a value of $1 these days. One of them pipes up, yes, I do. 4 turds.
Yeah.
That's funny. James deals in golf balls when I take him golfing with us, and he finds, I give him a quarter every golf ball he finds.
There you go.
And so he's like, Dad, here's all these, you owe me $17.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I would add to that pile. Cool. Okay. So tell you a little more of my history. When I grew up in San Diego. So my dad was full-time pastor of a little church, only 2 elders. He preached Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Wednesday night, and ran Sunday school. So he did 4 full events every week, and then also did a full extra time job, 40-hour week, because they paid him so little. Because tiny little church, like a really packed Sunday would be 100 people. So tiny little place. But he did full support of that. And so I grew up actually very secluded, and most people don't realize I'm an introvert. They don't believe me. But I actually am.
I would have a hard time believing you as well.
So I have learned in college, I learned to be an extrovert. What I mean by that is, so I went through all high school, like not dating anyone at all, period. Okay. Back when you're supposed to be dating for fun, which I disagree with. But so I went to college, had very little friends, had never asked a girl out. And I realized this stinks. I don't like my trajectory.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was a sophomore and I was like, okay, I need to deal with that fear. What am I going to do? I'm going to let the fear win or I win? And here's the conversation for the rest of my life. Does fear win or do I win? I did all kinds of crazy things. So I started dating beautiful women, found my wife, blessed to have her. But her family is unfortunately not like-minded here. So it's been missionary. There's an interesting culture, right? We had a lot of aspects of different cultures marrying to each other. Well, there's a missionary culture. And it's a funky monkey culture because it's not a unique country. It's like a mishmash of all of them. And then when Lydia came back, it was culture shock. We met in college. Absolute culture shock. And then she married this incredibly right-wing, pro-gun, etc., loving of America dude that she could ever find. Probably the most in the college there. But so she grew up in a anti-conflict family. Like, don't have conflict. And I'm like, I only like to talk about money and religion and
politics.
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny that culture is common Christian culture, like anti-conflict.
Yes.
It's not the absence of conflict.
That's right.
It's just we just keep it right under the surface, and we try not to let it let it show.
Yes.
And when it blows up, it's bad. But.
That's right. Absolutely. So I went into the military and the Army. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't have direction, and so I spent a whole lot of money on college. Woof. We got married in college, and I'm like, okay, so I have a wife, and I have no trajectory, and what do I do? So I went into the Army as an officer. Okay. Also, am I weak? Am I not weak? I don't know. So, okay, I'm going to pick the hard things. Okay, so I went in as a tank commander and et cetera, thinking about infantry, but I have an extra vertebrae in my back. So when I would put on 50, 60, 70 pounds, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And I didn't know that till after I left the military. I just thought, man, I was just a wimp. I'm like, I'm glad I didn't do infantry because of that. But we would do all kinds of fun and crazy things. I jumped off a waterfall that was 110 feet high. How do I know it's that high? Because there was a ranger right there before we jumped. And everybody's like, hey, that's dangerous. And yep, I'm afraid of it. So therefore I'm going to go do it.
That is like, it's a good principle though. Obviously it could be taken too far into the other ditch, but very rarely do you have guys that's their problem. Yeah. Usually you stand in the ditch that is far too hesitant, far too reserved and afraid of failing.
Yes.
And, or looking stupid or being shamed in front of your friends or whatever. And, it actually is a good principle to like, for your own self-confidence and psyche to like meet challenges on purpose, knowing that the real reason that you're doing it is just because you're scared of it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let me tell you something what I consider fun now that I'm done with them. Things that were in the military real quick. So boot camp, I ripped a digit off of my finger in boot camp. They sewed it back on. I did boot camp with a sewn on finger. And that's because I was becoming an officer and they said, look, you have one time through. If you're out for any reason, you don't get to be an officer. I'm like, oh, well, I better finish. I would teach young folks, and I know you guys recently did some FTXs with some high school kids. Mm-hmm. So we did all kinds of crazy stuff in the military where you can actually sleep and march at the same time.
If you get tired enough and you're still on your feet.
Yes. So I would sleep for about 3 steps and then wake up. I'm still going the right direction and sleep.
Yeah.
At scout school, I went to scout school. Scout platoon leaders course is what it was called back then. They call it something different now, which I don't know. And this is the only time I actually pushed my body so much I got to tunnel vision, where I was running carrying a rubber duck. Y'all know what a rubber duck is? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's an M16 made out of rubber, and you carry it at the ready while you're running. So you can't move your arms because you're like this. And we ran for so many miles that tunnel vision got to about 2 inches before we actually were done. Wow.
I've had that happen, but it was G-forces, not...
Okay. That would be scary.
Yeah, they put you in the centrifuge, right? And to see, can you take 5 for 30 seconds and 7.5, and depending on what jet you're flying, could go up to like 9 for a while. Wow. And they try to see how good you are at G-straining. And you're, what happens is you're tunnel vision starts happening. Yes. And then they ask you, do you lose any vision? And you're like, nope, I'm good.
The answer is always no, no matter what.
Well, this was from a forced run is what it does type thing. So I was blessed that the run stopped and I was still standing and I could still see out of like this tunnel. I was looking around.
It is pretty wild what your body will continue to do if your mind is willing to just go there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It wasn't without pain. You just have to realize that's pain.
I think this is another thing. I think we might have talked about this before, but in the midst of that, you don't feel like some hero.
No.
You feel like you're like, I am absolutely pathetic. Yes. I'm failing constantly. Every single step, you're like, I want to stop. I want to stop. I want to stop. This sucks. I'm such a wuss. it's not until well afterwards that you're like, man, like I actually did that.
Yes.
The whole time it feels like failure until it's over.
Yes. When we were doing FTX lanes and training, I remember allowing myself a 3-breath break. People were like, what is that? Oh yeah, well you go for 20 hours, but during that time, I allowed myself to stop and take 3 breaths and then keep going.
Yeah.
You can't stop. So military was crazy. Yes, enjoyed it. Enjoyed that I was done. Pushed myself. You really find out what you can do. And so when you're tired now, well, I can continue if I want to.
Yeah, you have a more accurate perspective of what your limits are.
Right.
Because you've found them.
Yes, but we also need to have physical shape if we're going to do hard mental things.
Absolutely.
So when in our leaders, one of the things that drove into me, and I believe absolutely, we act like our leaders. We do hard things like our leaders. Who are our leaders? And so I absolutely believe the majority of the reason for our country is weak leaders, weak elders. We had strong elders physically, mentally, financially, etc. Then they would lead their people to follow them, and we would change culture.
Yeah, absolutely. We are very imitative creatures.
Yes.
And whoever is influencing you, back to the discussion earlier about inputs and outputs,
right?
You're going to imitate the things around you that are displaying excellence.
Correct. So there's a phrase that is the corruption of the best is the worst. So when you go into the Bible, the second most talked about subject in the Bible, first is sin. The second one is finances. So therefore, what do the demons want to corrupt? Right? They want to corrupt our finances in every dimension. And so they are actively looking about that. So it takes courage to actually do well financially, to have delayed gratification, to teach our kids delayed gratification, to not spend even the little bits when you should, to actually support, how to set yourself up. We can talk about that. How to set your assets up so that way you can strike when there's opportunity. Right? That the old term is called cash is king, but it really shouldn't be kept in cash because it's actually shrinking. But how can you set yourself up so that you can help your kids when you want to? Okay, so coming back to the idea we talked a little bit ago about if you buy a piece of land that you want to help out your kids with, and et cetera. So here's an aspect of this that I learned from Tim Six, and then I'm continuing to grow about it. Tim Six is a member here, redonkulously smart and very generous man at the same time.
We did an episode with him a few months ago on the bourbon whiskey tasting.
Generosity is an accurate description of Tim.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can buy a house. Anybody can. If they buy a home, they can then, before they move into it, they can turn it into an STR, short-term. It's an acronym for short-term rental. Okay. This is not tax advice. Talk to your own tax advisor. Talk to your own financial advisor, your own estate planning advisor, everybody else's advisor. This is ideas. This is not for you. Okay. Because I have licenses. I have to do silly stuff like that. Because I'm a fiduciary and for my clients' assets, not for everybody. Okay. So you can turn a house into an STR if you do something called cost segregation, which means that aspects of the house and the bolts and the nails and the plywood and the shingles, like you separate it all out. You segregate the costs. You then can do an accelerated depreciation. Instead of the normal flat depreciation for 20 years, you can accelerate it in roughly a third-ish of that total you can write off in the first year. You can have yourself a big fatty tax deduction in the first year. So you buy $1 million house, you write off, $300,000-ish type thing against your income, okay? Who needs that typical tax break? Do the parents just starting off in life that are 22? Probably not. Do their parents who are middle 50s, hopefully making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year? Yes, they could help with that tax deduction, right? So they, like say someone moving here to Ogden, okay? Before they move into their house, they buy a house, do an STR for a partial year, write it off, and then move into it. If you don't sell this house, you don't recapture that tax gain. If you pass that house in an inheritance, the recapture doesn't pass to the next generation.
And they can sell it.
And then they can sell.
Yeah.
Yes, and they get what's called step up in basis. Basis becomes where taxes start, current market value at date of death, or 6 months later, depending on how you decide. So, but there's a way for people to, hey, I think this is my long-term home. Why don't you do an STR on that? Okay. Yes, you have to make sure it's right and done right, and you have to pay for someone to do the cost seg and et cetera type stuff. Don't do this yourself. But and if you have upgrades you want to do, right? Are they for the STR? So there's ways to do tax breaks that people just don't even know they don't know about.
Right.
Type stuff.
Don't know what you don't know.
Right. But they have to be thinking long term on that, right? You can give assets, like let's say someone has a non-qualified investment account. Okay. If you give that from one person to the next, okay, you can give $19,000. One person give another person, doesn't have to be a relative, $19,000 per year, okay, without any estate tax, any other tax issues. And so what if I know that my friend Billy Bob here tithed $19,000, okay, and I wanted to help him out? Well, I can give him an appreciated stock that has a big fat gain. I can give it to him. He can tithe that, and nobody pays tax on gain. And I can help him out if I want to help him out. And then he doesn't have to pay tax on gain to the church rather than him paying out of his own cash. So there's ways to move money around that many people don't understand. That's understanding the forest. I had a conversation yesterday about a scientist. Like, we were examining the veins of the leaf on the tree on an investment. You're missing the forest here. You got to do both.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think one of the things that sticks out to me is that this mindset shift is something from like just an angry victim of our tax code, the federal, the state, all of those things. Instead of just being an angry victim, you're transitioning to something more like an adversarial force that is actually fighting back in some way.
It's like
Correct.
you happen to things instead of letting things happen
Exactly.
to you kind of thing.
Yes. I mean, what is the if you just let something go, just let it be and don't affect it. I don't care what it is. What's the natural is breaking down.
It deteriorates.
Yes. Right. You have to fight against that. That's called sin. You have to fight against that to have chaos and turn it into order. Mm-hmm. That's what we're actually called to do in every aspect of life, right? To take dominion. That means turning it into order. Type that. But yes, we have to fight against that, and we have to do that through hope. Mm-hmm. If we do that through fear, we're going to stay in our own little hidey hole, and we're not going to affect other people because of that fear. So this is why I like hope marketing, hope helpful, rather than fear marketing on stuff for that.
Yeah.
And it takes courage to invest for 10 years from now, to invest for 50 years from now, right? That takes courage rather than, I could lose some of that money. Yep. That's right. Right. But if you don't, it's a guaranteed loss long term. What is the trajectory? That's my whole business. What are you trying to accomplish long term? 10 years from now, 100 years from now, and how do you want it to look like? One of the things that I help people do is the middle class mindset really is put money into a retirement plan, let it grow, and the most glory of all glories only happens when you're retired. How depressing is that? Right? Rather than the glory of working and turning chaos into order along the way with kids, right? They're chaos machines. Okay?
Accurate.
So we do the same thing with money. We can use money multiple times if you know how to invest it and use it correctly rather than only using it once. Mm-hmm. So one of the areas I want to talk about is why have I been blessed with success? Okay, so I've had a natural God-given passion drive since I was a little kid. Yes, I was a little terror machine, but passion for excellence in every area, right? With health, as I learned through that, with finances, with relationships, with, how Lydia and I work together. So she works for me, which is awesome, right? She helps my mission going forward, which is God's created order is for her to help my mission rather than go help some other dude's mission type thing, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing benefit that I can count on her. Who else is going to work harder for my mission than my wife?
Right.
Nobody.
Yeah, it's glorious. So passion for excellence. The speech that I talked about in the beginning from Teddy Roosevelt was constant learning new things, failing, getting up again, learning new things, failing. It is failing over and over. One of the reasons why I'm successful is because I've failed more times than most people have tried. When I talk to my employees, it's failure is not great. We don't want failure, but failure is okay if we learn, if we then do better from it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I think is in any business or any relationship from that. My notes. One of the things I have in here, it takes courage to tell your wife no. In today's culture, that's not easy. We weren't taught that. Liddy and I weren't taught that growing up. So we had to learn that over time.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Actually doesn't work.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Someone has to lead. You can't co-lead. Doesn't exist. Two chief doesn't work. 50-50 doesn't work. You just look anywhere. You can't submit to each other. Right? Do we just keep submitting until nobody else makes a decision?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous understanding.
But the Bible says submit to one another. I don't know.
Ignore the rest of the whole Bible.
Yeah. It doesn't say anything else. That's the only thing it says.
Right. So a book that I talked about recently in the lunch event at the NCP conference was a book by Simon Sinek called Leaders Eat Last, where I was going specifically in the business world that you need to take care of those that are dependent upon you, whether you're investors, okay, or your employees or both. Like you take care of them before the leader eats, the business owner eats. But if you do a good job, the business owner eats very well. Eating well is fine and glorious if you have taken care of those that are underneath you and you're responsible for. But if you eat first and then they are hurt because of your eating, that's dishonorable.
Well, it's also just not a great long-term plan.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Absolutely. So getting kind of to where you're going in the beginning is the change that I went through.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
So the company that shall not be named, I was working for 15 years. I started there 15 years ago. And Lydia was actually working there just before we understood working together. She was working for somebody else, and she basically came to me and said, Joe, you read finance books and estate planning books and tax books. This is what you read and enjoy for fun. Why don't you actually go back to school and do this for a living rather than just as a hobby? And so that was a catalyst of me doing that. And then she also said, your drive would run circles around all these other people here. She was helping all the young reps and et cetera. So, after some
what'd you have to study to do that? Like finance? Or
yes, multiple dimensions. So I already had some sales skills.
Yeah.
I was taught to be an honorable salesman. Like there's such a thing as a dishonorable salesman. There's honorable sales too. The world lives on sales. On honorable sales, like when you exchange goods for goods in an honorable way, that's glorious, right? That's really an exchangement of love. Is what that is. But I had to learn more. I thought I knew what I was talking about. Then I realized I didn't know what I thought I was talking about. That was interesting to unlearn some financial assumptions that I had made and going and learning really deep aspects of tools and how they intertwined and worked together. Was that, right? Investment pieces, how to research them, what's good and what's bad and why, and then understanding, well, for what purpose? What tools fit where and when. And there wasn't just a schooling to get that done. Unfortunately, I had to be an absolute pest of everyone around me that was doing better than me. What are you doing? Why did you resolve this problem this way? We had a host of estate planning and advanced planning attorneys. Whenever I was driving between one place to another, I'd make up a problem and I'd call them. Right? Absolutely bugged the heck out of them. But then I started making more and more complex problems. And hey, how do you resolve problems? And what are the different ways to resolve problems? There's no one size fits all. Unfortunately, there's simpleton financial planning. I call it easy button financial planning. It's really bad. And then there's how do you understand the forest and how does it twist? So that's why I enjoy the changing of tools, the changing of laws. I'm like, oh, this actually improved this one situation. So that's what I keep a tune of.
Yeah. Because I mean, is it every year? Is it every 5 years? Like, how often are these things changing significantly enough where you actually have to change strategy? It's you don't know. You just have to keep your finger on the pulse.
Yes. Yeah. Secure Act 2.0 happened semi recently. That has a massive change in laws and how tools twist in taxes. It extended some taxes we thought were about to sunset. And then it also allowed there's actually a few benefits to it. There's actually some new benefits. Crazy. Most laws hinder, and then therefore, what is the domino effect of that? There's just not one size. Oh, this is where you are, do this one thing. Because I get asked all the time, hey, just what's this one simple answer? There's not a simple answer.
Yeah.
If you want good, right? If you want simple, well, I can give you simple.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. There's all kinds of talking heads you can go to and listen to for simple, or folks that I've read 3 or 5 books. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I started 15 years ago. What I actually did is I had a few different mentors that were retired in life that worked in the financial planning world. So I went and talked to them. Okay, tell me what's the real story. Like, how does this really work? Versus what the recruiter is telling me. And then I asked them, well, if you would work with one company, who would you choose? They didn't know each other, and they all named the same firm. I was like, that's weird. So when I started there, because I went and interviewed at multiple companies, when I started there, they actually started both small meetings and national meetings with prayer. Not a fuzzy wuzzy prayer, but actual real prayer in Jesus' name, and et cetera. That's cool.
Yeah.
So we started there. Unfortunately, that changed like 3 years after I was there, really quick. But just slowly, of course. Right, just very slowly. And now, in the month of June, corporate office is full of rainbows. They are proud to be one of the best locations to work if you're LGBT. It's where they pride themselves in. Okay? So we now have a significant value difference. And so it came to a head where they would no longer allow me to market myself as a Christian. Okay? They said, nope, we don't want you doing the marketing. Right before I had just walked on stage as the #1 producer in the country out of 10,000 teams, which our little old self kind of felt crazy.
And that's significant, right? Like
that's extremely significant.
Don't miss that, right?
That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
It was awesome. It was awesome. It really, Lydia and I were talking, and this is the way that I was expressing it to her, that look, we can stay where we are. We have built a machine. We are doing really well for clients, and we're making a ton of money. Like, if we just kind of just be quiet, stay, quiet. We're just gonna cruise and kick some butt.
What was the ask? Like, don't be overtly Christian. Don't market with New Christian Press. Like,
marketing gone.
Okay.
Yeah, you can say you're a Christian in your own little hidey hole type of thing, but co-branding was mandated. Right? I'm like, let me just go to market myself type of thing.
Yeah.
Nope. So, but co-branding was mandated, and like where I wanted to and where I have been marketing, right, were overtly Christian places.
Right.
Right. Post-mill, absolutely patriarchal Christian places that believe we should take dominion in all areas of life. I mean, we had such a symbiotic relationship with how we view money and et cetera, but they didn't want their co-branding along that.
Right.
And so they said, well, what we want you to do is eliminate all branding, eliminate all advertisements, eliminating all episodes on podcasts like this. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because I have one in May of 2023 and I think August of 2023 here on what used to be called the Hard Man, now Brutal American type thing. Like the very first one I did, coming back to your question, in the beginning is how did I get connected? So I got connected with NCP during COVID. We actually quietly left our PCA church, feeling very lonely because there was nobody else that we knew of that thought like we did. We thought we were weirdos.
I think the whole table's been there once or twice.
Andrew Torba on his social media actually introduced and recommended in a King's Hall episode. It was about money. And so when Lydia and I listened to it, we were like, there's other weirdos.
Yeah.
And so we went to the beginning of King's Hall and just devoured it. We're like, wow, like-minded people. And so the Lord has been blessing my business. And so I called them up. Hey, I just want to talk to somebody at NCP. Hey, that happened to be Dan. So I talked to, hey, Dan, we would like to help support you guys financially. Are you guys a 501c3? He's like, kind of. I'm like, you don't know who I am? Wrong answer.
Well, at the time, it was true.
It was. We actually were changing.
Yeah.
It was a true answer.
Yeah.
Right. But again, it's just some stranger that called him 30 seconds ago. And so we ended up talking, I don't know, like 2 hours. It meant to be a few minutes, just about taxes. And so at the end of that, Dan was like, I enjoy having this conversation. Do you want to be on the podcast? And I'm like, that sounds awesome. And that was the catalyst. And so I was on there back when I was just using earbuds. The sound audio is horrible. But we talked about how to give money to a church or any 501c3 and how to route money and not give more, but reduce your taxes more by just flowing money differently. Mm-hmm. So there's so many different ways. I think we talked about 5 of them on that one. That was wildly successful. And so we then did another one a few months later on debt. And we talked about the snowball method, right? That's Dave Ramsey didn't invent that. He actually took that from but that's his main proponent. There's an avalanche method and then there's a holistic method. Right? It depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Do you want your fuzzy wuzzies or do you want holistic net worth growth? So that's an hour plus conversation about debt.
And those are King's Hall episodes people can go listen to?
They're Brutal American. They're Hardman episodes back then.
But you can find them under Brutal American.
Yes, correct. Yeah, just scroll down.
They're still back in our catalog. You can go find Joe on previous episodes.
Yes. And then we went and did one on Bright Hearth, on if you're in your 20s and 30s, starting out in life, what do you do? So Brian and I talked for an hour and 45 minutes, just all kinds of things that you can do if you're young and starting out, right? That's not for the wealthy. That's for the starter out type of folks. And I've been on King's Hall too. And then we just recorded another King's Hall episode a few days ago, that type. But, and now I'm trying to remember where I was going.
Oh yeah, I am question. Too. We all just looked at each other like, dang it.
Change. The change I did. So, the way I described it to Lydia is, look, we have an opportunity just to be quiet, and make silly money. Okay. Or we can say, no, this is not how God wants his, right? Everything is his, right? Yes. He's given us to steward and honor. The money in my pocket is not mine. It's his. So is that honoring to him on what he's given us? So I came to the conclusion, no. So therefore, I submitted my resignation. That's a short version of a lot of conversations, intense conversations. And so we decided to leave. And the way that I had to leave is just say, cut and move over to another organizations and bye, clients, and start scratch. Overhead still running, right? My employees want to be paid. That's where I was coming at leaders eat last, right? I'm eating last now. I'm not eating now, right? So we're paying all them and clients are coming back over and, hey, yes, we still want to work with you. But the transition is slow. And so we're now at a company that actually is run by a post-mill group of guys called Inspire Advisors. We actually have a sleeve of investments that's new we did not have before. Actually took this idea before I knew them over to my previous firm and they said, no, thank you. We're not interested in that type of investing style. But it actually chooses the investments based on biblical principles. So it's filtering out things like porn and LGBT and filtering that out of the portfolio. Which
is something that like the people in our group here, like in the people that are in the show are constantly fighting against is like, all right, how do I go out and interact in the economy without giving my money to people who are pursuing evil?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had this question a week or two ago from one of the guys in the church.
Sure.
And he had an acronym. I'm going to get it wrong, but it was something like biblically thoughtful investing or
biblical responsible investing.
BRI. Yeah.
There it is.
And basically the idea was, I want to buy Tesla stock, but Tesla owns X AI and AI makes porn. And so like basically
Yes.
it would be sin for me to make money off of this company that owns this porn shop.
There you go.
Is that a common thing? Like I hadn't
That's
really,
what
I
it is.
mean, we've thought through like not patronizing companies that hate you before,
Yes.
like Amazon or something.
Yes.
It's different than investing with a company.
Yeah, there's two sides.
Yeah.
Right? Do you go to Starbucks to buy your coffee?
No.
Right? Horrible. Well, first of all, the coffee's horrible.
Shout out to Noah by Lux Coffee.
There you go.
Exactly.
That's right. That's right. He
They
didn't
have
pay for that. I
brutal
want a free bag
American
of coffee. Yes. Yeah, where do we spend our money with? And that is one of the most powerful things that everyone can do. I don't care if you make 20 grand a year. Okay. Who do you spend your money with? Right? When you need a plumber, do you have a plumber in your church you can hire?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
his name's Carter.
That's
Shout
right.
out to Carter.
Right.
He was at my house yesterday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Otterwise Plumbing.
We literally, I got a new stove for my wife. Went from the electric to the gas.
Yeah.
Needed a gas hookup.
Yeah.
And I used ChatGPT. I said I need a plumber in Ogden, and the first one that came up was Otterwise.
Awesome.
And dude in our church, so he came out, took care of it. So
Perfect.
Yeah. Refuge,
Perfect.
friends and family.
Got a few guys that work for Otterwise here at Refuge.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, one of the glorious things that you can do as a business owner is you're not just providing for your wife and your kids, but when you hire new people, you then can give a good income to another family in your church. Now, good nepotism is good, right? But if you are not, this is a pet peeve of mine, because the culture of our Christian heritage culture when we came to the U.S. was proud, honorable, quality workers as a group.
Protestant
Yes.
work ethic.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you got to hire a Protestant, you were golden. You knew you were going to get good work. Today, that's not true.
No.
Our culture, our clients, our culture is not that of Christians. So we need to absolutely focus. We can only redeem that little bit at a time. But yes, you should be hiring people in group, and those people should be working very hard in group to do good.
Absolutely. So when you made the decision to resign,
Yes.
when you're thinking, I'm sure it was a hard decision to make, a lot of thoughts, a lot of conversations, a lot of prayer. Did you feel like a conviction on your conscience that this is what I must do? Did you think of it more like wisdom principle? Like where were you at on that? Like, did you think I don't have a choice here? I've got to do, this is like the James 4 verse, or how were you thinking through that?
Yeah. So we had friends, people that were friendly. You really don't find out who are your friends until they go through trials.
Yep.
You don't find out what kind of man you are or other people are until you go through trials. I believed I did not have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's, I don't know how to ask the question any differently, but, because people probably could, in good conscience, think through it differently.
Sure.
Right. Like, it's kind of like the conversation, like, can I join the military? Should I join the military? And like, it's a nuanced answer.
Yes.
But yeah, I was just curious if you did it out of just pure conviction of like, this is the hard road and I don't really have an option here to hold to my convictions and my principles. But no, that's super helpful.
Yeah. It was easy and hard at the same time.
Yeah.
We had to, because I wasn't going to not keep doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then we had to trust God that we would be okay. I mean, he tells us we're going to be. Right? The definition of okay may be different than what we want.
Yep.
Will the business now explode or shrink? That's not up to me.
Right. I think that is one of the principles that we come back to fairly often in a decision-making process, is getting sort of to the end of your reasoning and going, actually, I'm not in control of any of this anyways. And so like, would God rather me be daring and put my faith and trust in him alone?
Right.
Rather than my own decision-making process or in my own wit or my own, strategy. Yes. And like, also, I think this is the kind of the spirit that the brutal American should have, is kind of like, okay, I got to get down to the ground out of this airplane but I got this parachute, or I can just wait for it to touch back down. And like, you already seem like the kind of guy that's like, it seems like it'd be a lot more entertaining to just jump out the door, right? Like, there's something to that actually is admirable. You can't be reckless, obviously. You have to be well thought out, and you have to deliberate on things. But there is something to the daring Christian, the reformed mindset that, like, you have the ultimate safety blanket.
Right.
The worst thing that could possibly happen is that you die and go to meet the Lord.
Right. I'm okay with that.
right, exactly. And so I think there's something to that, that is important to take home in this, is that, like, it is courage, but the basis of that courage is actually faith that you're in the hands of the Almighty God who loves you.
Right.
That's a very different mindset, though, than the worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to piss off the HR ladies.
Exactly.
Which is most people's biggest fear.
Right.
Yes, it's so, another way to verbalize that is coming from the King's Hall of Many first season, maybe. They talked about the Danes coming over, right, and ransacking the English culture, and they said, "Hey, look, we won't ransack you if you pay us money." So they paid them money, and they still ransacked them. And they said, "Hey, if you pay us more money, we won't ransack you." They paid them more money, and they still ransack. You cannot pay the Dane Geld.
No.
Once you start paying and sacrifice your ethics, they will not stop there. They just know that you're willing to pay. They will continue to ask you to pay more and more.
And the more that process plays out, the harder it is to change course.
Yes.
The first decision is difficult,
because
but it's
you've
actually
already,
the easiest
you've already
one to make.
compromised. Like, we're talking about compromise. You've already compromised once. How much harder is it down the road where you're like, to actually stand up then?
That's right.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. This new group of guys are actually positive that I go and say, I'm a Christian. We have this Christian opportunity. Let me talk a little bit more about it because it's kind of cool. Okay. So it's not just filtering, and, we talked a minute ago about, hey, not supporting organizations we don't want to give our money to. But what about when you want to grow your money? Do you want to grow it from the porn industry? You want to make profit from porn? Right. So that's where they're trying to do is eliminate sinful stuff to invest in good companies.
Yeah. It's easy when you say, "Hey, Joe, my plan is to go buy that strip club and make money." Like, no, you can't do that. Okay. What about, can I invest in another company that does that?
Yes. Oh.
That's one people probably haven't thought through as much, because it is way more complex to know, like, I want to buy Tesla stock. What else do they have their hands in, right? Like, that's it takes a lot more research and energy to know that, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And then, because they're constantly changing who's doing well.
Yeah.
But also, one of the biggest problems in the world of the public stock market is actually voting of the shares. So this is where I think Christians can really help community, is get out of companies like Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Guidestone. Why? Because they vote against God's principles. They vote communist. Guidestone is one of the worst voting records pro-abortion. They are for abortion, in other words, for their voting. So if we take assets away from their investing rights, because when you buy them by proxy, you're giving your rights to them to vote your money. So what we're doing is we're saying we'll take that proxy and vote money based on God's principles. So we're not just, hey, do we make money off it? We're now voting based on God's principles. And then the last thing we're also doing is actually corporate engagement. We're coming to the market with power and saying, hey, not I have 3 shares of your company. No, we have a ton because of our clients' power. Hey, we want you to not do this. As an example, Costco pulled their abortion drugs because of what we said to do. Okay, Walmart decided not to bring to their health benefits medical benefits for transvestite surgeries. Right? We're actually going to these companies and say, hey, because of our power, we want you to act based on how God wants us to act.
So it's not just the principle of voting with your dollars, but the actual reality of voting with your dollars.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also, what you're saying is, in order to do that, you have to own part of that company, right? In order to engage and have them pull the abortion drugs or whatever. Like, you can't do that if you take your money elsewhere.
No.
right?
No. You have to have power.
Yeah, and some of that would be maybe I don't know. Maybe there's a difference if it's Costco and like Costco's a good company and we're buying Costco, and then they go to do something stupid.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Unless they're already deep in something stupid, then would you advise people let's not go there?
Correct.
Right? Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. So if they change, because companies change,
sure,
positive and negative,
yep.
right? And we're watching that. Okay. So if they change negative, we come to them with power and go, don't do this.
Yep.
Or we'll move our shares to somebody else.
Yep.
Right. That will hurt you if I pull my 3 shares, but we have thousands of clients. I don't know if it's thousands. But
soon enough,
it's got to be thousands because I have a lot, and there's multiple advisors here. So
yeah,
so we come to them with it to affect what they're doing.
Yeah,
right? We're not asking them, hey, we want you to put Christian on your banner. No, hey, just this laws of LGBT stuff. We don't want that. Okay. If you want to work with us, take that off. If you don't care, then keep doing what you're doing. So.
Yeah, no, that's super helpful.
That's awesome. Really appreciate it, Joe.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I think this is extremely encouraging for just the everyday normal guy. Not everyone has, the same situation as you, where you're going, all right, we can stay here and make, a lot of money, or we can go somewhere else and step out on a limb, or necessarily running in a business or whatever. But everyone has some situation where they're being challenged to keep quiet, or to capitulate, or to compromise. And everyone has some place in their life where they can grow a spine and take a stand on their convictions and move in a more righteous direction. And so I think that in particular is something that everyone can take something from. But also, before we wrap up, where can everyone go find more about what you're doing, and the new company and the new direction, all that good stuff?
Sure. Okay, so website is the best place to start, backwardsplanningfinancial.com. Let me explain the definition of that name in just a second. So backwards planning and then financial.com. My direct phone number, I know people say I'm crazy, but yes, my direct phone number is 615-767-2555. Right? That rings on my phone type of thing. And I have conversations with folks of all sizes, from just starting off in life to silly type of stuff, and how we can be helpful. Why? Because I'm not willing to do easy button stuff. What is easy button? Okay, so your 401k, that's easy button, right? Just do some Roth IRAs into an ETF. Well, when you're small, I understand, right? But when you're big, that's disappointingly bad. You're not getting an alpha. Okay, so what is an alpha? An alpha means, are you beating the market? Okay, net of fees. Net's important, not gross. Okay, and is it a weighted alpha? What's a weighted alpha? Well, if you have money in these 3 different sectors of the market, what does those 3 sectors do based on the percentage you have? And then you weight your whole portfolio based on all of that. Okay, and then beta is measure of volatility. Are you getting the full down? Okay, so a beta of 1 means you're getting the full down, right? Beta less than 1, okay, I'm not allowed to say what we have, but it's probably a positive number. And that's because it would be a promise, which is such a ridiculous thing to say it's a promise. I can't promise growth. I can't promise, that's silly. Anybody who invests knows that.
Unless you're like a congressman.
There you go. Yes, like you make 200 and you assets grew by 7 million that year. Like that's some crazy stuff. Yeah, if I do insider trading, which I've had the opportunity and I said no, like I've had people that were executives in big companies. Hey Joe, we're about to do this. I'm like, okay, I won't be buying that stock. Get even the impression of that. And I can't tell anybody else, because if they did it based on what I said, then I'd go to jail. Quickest way to lose all my money and go to jail. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm not a congressman. So backwards planning. Okay, so in the military, when I was doing military intelligence stuff after my time in tanks, you have to know what you're going to do in the future. I needed to know the future of the enemy and then plan what they were going to do, teach the commander that was the commander of that combat unit so he could plan their strategy ahead of time before anything happened. So that's what backwards planning comes from, military understanding. And actually the book of the Ecclesiastes, if you read it front to back, it's depressing. You understand where you're going and then come back to today. Hey, this is not so depressing, right? You can go through hard things because like our safety blanket, we're going to heaven. Right. Just when? Today, next year, when it is, we're going.
Yeah.
So that's where I want to do is, hey, let's say you want, as an example, you want your kids that you want to be able to give a house to each of them when they turn 25, right? As an inheritance. Well, that's probably way before most people are retirement age or when they would die, right? Unfortunately, most people's understanding of inheritance is, well, when I'm dead, if there's some left over, you got it. But you don't need it then if you do good work. When you need it is when you're young and broke. Okay, so what kind of assets would be able to have that opportunity to buy that house? And how do you buy that house? It's not going to be a 401k, probably. Okay, so yes, you can buy assets where you have the ability to gift it to the kids, borrow it against it to help buy the kids, because you can borrow against it on certain types. Buy that house, turn it into an STR, get yourself a write-off, and then gift it to them and use some of your lifetime gift exemption. Like there's all kinds of attractive things you do. If you're like, how do I want my assets to look like in the future? Then therefore, what am I doing today? Because I have a future goal in mind. But if you just have a fuzzy wuzzy, I'll help somebody at some time, then you're not going to be efficient. That's what we're doing with folks.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's encouraging. I think there's a lot of people that are probably not really thinking in that vein just yet. They have the intention. I think this discussion of like, how do I set myself up well? How do I set my children up well? The intention is starting to grow in our demographic for sure. But the actual step-by-step process of how to make it happen is a whole different conversation. So if you're thinking through some of that stuff, definitely go talk to Joe. Highly recommend it. Really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
It's been a great time.
Good to be here.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see you again next year.
That's right.
Hopefully before that.
That's right. Yes.
All right. Well, as always, stay frosty, fight the good fight, act like men.